great down here in Tennessee. We don't need y'all to talk about us because we're going to talk about ourselves. We told y'all.
Hello, everyone. Once again, to Titans Tube. We're back. My name is Justin, your co-host here, and with me is it's not Jake. I think it's his twin brother, Drake. Or I can't. Oh wait, that is Jake. Jake, what have you done to yourself? You look completely different.
It's amazing. You know, the Titans front office isn't the only people making changes to beloved things in the Titan sphere. I know my hair and my headband was a much hotly debated hot topic among this channel. So, you know, the criticism in the comments just stacked up to a point where I had to cut it all off, Justin. I'm obviously kidding. It was just time for a shakeup. I've had hair past my ears since probably sophomore year of high school. And it was just time to get that off, considering it's been probably 8 years, 9 years since then. But anyways, yeah,
you're no longer
new season for the Tennessee Titans.
That's right. You're no longer a hippie. Okay, you are now a man of the world. You know. Okay, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It looks good. It looks great, Jake. This is the 2023 version of you. Hopefully, your fresh start and the Titans' fresh start can align to great things. But what is it so great, Jake? Oh my gosh, we got to talk about this draft. Good Lord, where do you want to start? We can start at the beginning.
Let's start at the beginning.
Come away with 6 additional players in this draft. None of them defensive players, by the way, which doesn't usually ever happen. So at the beginning of the draft, Jake, you know, lots of talk and rumors. Maybe it was a lot of smoke and mirrors. Titans were among the teams considering trading up to grab a CJ Stroud at the number 3 pick, but that did not happen, as we all saw. So Titans remain at pick 11, and Jake, we picked Mr. Peter Skoronski. Oh God, I misspelled it. I had it right in front of me. It's Skoronski. Northwestern offensive tackle or guard. Everyone is obsessed with talking about how short his arms are, but like, okay, who knows? Didn't Joe Thomas have short arms? I don't know. But Jake, I'm a fan. The number one need of this team had to be the offensive line. We saw, you know, it just fell apart last year, and this guy. I saw the words a safe pick brought up a lot. He's just a guy that's just, you know, pretty polished. You can plug and play him. He's pretty versatile. I don't know what the plan is for him. You know, we did sign Andre Dillard from the Philadelphia Eagles to be our left tackle. So he could either compete for that spot, or if not, you know, there's tons of spots on the offensive line to fill. So he can slide in at left guard or wherever. But I'm a fan. You know, watching some interviews, he has a good head on his shoulders. He seems motivated and ready to make a difference for the team. How do you feel, Jake? I'll open the floor back to you. Peter Skoronski, number 11.
Yes, the Northwestern Wildcat, Justin, is a Big Ten. I live in Big Ten country. Love this pick. You know, you can never go wrong with one of those big, beefy, you know, Northern football offensive linemen. But yeah, his versatility and just the fact that they went with the biggest need comforted me, because I feel like I haven't watched a lot of Titans drafts where in the first round they're like, oh, we have to pick an offensive lineman. That's got to be the move, and they will go corner or defensive tackle or defense. Like historically, this team has leaned a lot on defense in the draft. But obviously, new regime is here, new era is here, Justin. And I honestly, I was not crazy about going back to the very start of the first round. I was not crazy about the idea of going up and getting CJ Stroud, because I wasn't crazy about any of the quarterbacks, really. I mean, people want to hype up Bryce Young all they want, but it was cement. It was a done deal that Carolina was picking Bryce Young with that number 1 overall pick. So I wasn't crazy about any quarterbacks, and I came away from this Skoronski pick, Justin. I closed the book. I made sure that the Titans didn't trade up at the end of the first round to get
Mhm.
a certain quarterback from Kentucky that was
No,
sliding.
no way we
And
would go there.
honestly, I went to bed Thursday night after round one saying, I'm just glad we didn't draft Will Levis, man.
That's
And
exactly what I was gonna say.
that's honestly,
Yeah.
truthfully, honest to God, what I thought coming out of round one. And I guess that's a great transition to flip the book to pick number 2 for the Tennessee
Yeah.
Titans, Justin. They
Yeah.
trade up to the 33rd overall selection and draft Kentucky quarterback Will Levis. Initial thoughts?
Yeah. Kind of piggybacking off what you said. Like, yeah, it was almost like a breathe a sigh of relief. We got one of the best offensive linemen in the draft. We didn't overthink it. We didn't sell out the future to trade up. We did the safe thing, build the foundation on a very weak position group, and just be happy with what you did. Let it sit. And I think a lot of Titans fans, I saw on Twitter and the Titans like subreddit, like, you know what? At least it wasn't Will Levis. I'm happy. Good job, Rand. Didn't overthink it. And that was kind of my sentiment too. But dude, when I saw that the Titans traded up from 41 to 33, like I knew it was coming. I mean, the commentators and analysts were all talking about him too, all over the TV. So his name was being thrown in your face. But like, right as Roger Goodell, like, I wish I had a camera in my living room. Right as he got up there to make the announcement, I just dipped my head. I couldn't even watch, and I heard the name Will Levis before it came out of his mouth, and I was like, no, I don't know, Jake. I don't get it. I don't get it. He could be good. I wasn't impressed with him. Watching him, I didn't see all of his games. All right, I watched him against Tennessee, and then maybe a few highlights here and there. But I didn't really understand his hype. If you watch his highlight reel, I looked at it was kind of funny. The Will Levis Ultimate Highlight mixtape video on YouTube. It's 3 minutes long. Like, shouldn't a franchise quarterback, have a lot more tape to, put on a YouTube video? And I mean, of course he has good throws. Of course, that the video makes him look good. All of his best plays. But I just, there are so many needs here, and to trade up for Will Levis at that position, um, obviously Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel see something in him, and they were sold on him and were impressed with him. But again, with the holes on this team, we still have a year of Ryan Tannehill left. Maybe we could have looked forward to another quarterback in next year's draft. But I just him as a player, as the franchise quarterback, it's hard for me to put my head around it because I just don't see what they're seeing. And I saw some like NFL comparison, how they do that, like this player compares to this player. I saw Carson Wentz brought up. Like, I don't want Carson Wentz. You're talking about Will Levis being a franchise quarterback, and his NFL comparison is Carson Wentz. Okay. I don't know. There's a lot of emotions and feelings, and I know that's it. The Titans are amongst the hot topic teams of the draft, with what they did in getting Will Levis. Adding the fourth rookie quarterback drafted in the AFC South. So that'll be an interesting thing. Which of these quarterbacks is really going to pan out here from this draft class? We'll all get to see it take place, within this division. But yeah, I mean, it's just a wait and see thing, Jake. It's hard to say. The Titans, going in the wrong direction. We're not addressing, wide receiver. We could have gone offensive line again, for all I care. But no, it was Will Levis, man. I don't know. What are you thinking? How are you feeling right now?
I'm cracking up, man. My reaction was the same exact thing as you described, where I was just like, you put your head down, like,
it's happening. It's happening.
You
What are
heard
we doing?
the way you described hearing Will Levis. I didn't see it on the screen either. Like, I didn't look at Goodell coming out. I just heard Will Levis. And I was like, I think I audibly said, like, no. But the funny thing is, I knew it was coming before Goodell was walking to the podium, because as soon as the trade happened, you knew there was a lot of smoke. Even going back to that first round with the Titans trading up, going to get a quarterback, there was way too much smoke, way too many rumors to ignore the fact that there's a good chance they might. And so they traded up, and I said, oh boy, here we go. And I was watching it on an illegally pirated stream, Justin, which is usually typically 5 to 10 seconds behind the regular broadcast. And as soon as the pick is in, and we're going to go to the commissioner now, my phone blew up. And there was text, phone calls, and I was like, I already know what's happening. I just turned my phone off. I was like, all right, give it to me. Will Levis. Justin, I don't know, man. I'm with you. It is a wait and see. I have somewhat come away from the ledge since, what was that, Friday? I have kind of come away from the ledge about him being potentially a franchise quarterback. I haven't watched a lick of Will Levis's Kentucky games or his highlights. Like you said, like a highlight package is going to show all of his sweet throws, which apparently is only 3 minutes long. So that's great.
3 minutes of good football.
I have not much to say about Will Levis, the player, but the Will Levis, the person, sketches me out, and I can't get behind being like a fan of it. Like I'm thinking back to like, who are the quarterbacks we've drafted in my time as a Titans fan? You have Jake Locker back in 2011. I was like all in on Jake Locker. Like, let's do it. And obviously that didn't go so hot.
Jake Locker, the person, A plus.
Yes,
same with
exactly.
Mariota.
Exactly. And then you go to Mariota. Great. A plus person. I'm going to be his fan until he leaves the team. And again, that didn't work out so hot. So maybe with the bad personality of Will Levis, he might be a good player.
I mean, I've heard things floated out there like he's kind of a punk. He's kind of a spoiled, whatever, from, I don't know, nameless, faceless people. I don't know. It's just like rumors or whatever. Like, who really knows? But it's out there. And like, no, I don't want like a bratty punk on the team. Like, let's dispel those.
Colin Cowherd's quote was, he loves the gun show. And he the quote going around was, Will Levis loves Will Levis. And that is kind of what, there was a lot of teams that were turned off. And that was reported on widely before the first round even happened, was that teams were turned off by Will Levis in the interview process. Kind of the way he carried him, personality, he felt entitled to be there. It's interesting to hear.
He left the draft too. I don't know if that's something to say too. Like he was like, "Oh, I'm out of here." Picked in the first round.
And then even adding on to that, there was the memification of Will Levis sitting in the green room and his girlfriend rolling her eyes, and the fact he puts mayonnaise in his coffee, which I looked that up. That was one of my main concerns before I watched any Will Levis tape. I looked up, does he actually do the mayonnaise and coffee thing? He said it was a joke. Yeah, so that was good to hear. That was refreshing to hear. But he does eat the banana peels whole on the bananas. That's kind of a psychopath thing to do. So maybe a character concern to watch going forward.
Yeah, the psychopath tendencies. That's fine as long as he can throw the football. Hopefully.
Well, I did look it up. Eating a banana peel does increase antioxidants and reduces your risk of getting cancer. So long-term wise, maybe you don't have to worry about Will Levis getting cancer with all the banana peels that he's eating.
It's a health thing. He's maintaining good health and staving off the cancer.
So man, I also saw, like you mentioned, the Titans subreddit, like they were all saying like Will Levis is going to be the quarterback that works out for this team solely for the fact that none of the fan base wanted him. It's like, as soon as we draft the guy that nobody wants to cheer for, that is going to be our 10-year, 12-year, 15-year starter. So it is going to be a wait and see, man. It's going to be interesting. What does it mean for Malik Willis? That ship has probably sailed. You're probably going to see Malik Willis cut come August. And what does it mean for Ryan Tannehill, Justin? Do you think that the Titans could trade Ryan Tannehill before the season begins? I don't think they'll cut him because I feel like that'll come with a lot of dead cap. Or do you see Will Levis sitting behind Ryan Tannehill and learning for a year? This is Ryan Tannehill's last year in his contract that he signed all the way back in 2019, which feels like a millennia ago. But do you see Will Levis sitting behind Tannehill, or do you see Will Levis being thrown into the wolves and saying, we might as well just save the money now by getting rid of Ryan Tannehill and see what we got in this banana peel eating, self-centered Will Levis kid?
Yeah, right. Well, my preference for sure is to have Will Levis sit for a year behind Ryan Tannehill. I think that works out best for both parties. I don't think is he NFL ready, polished completely. I don't even think that matters, because if you want to throw him in here week one, with an unproven O-line and a wide receiver room who's still the worst in the league and hasn't been addressed whatsoever outside of Chris Moore, a big difference maker there, and then Colton McDowell, who we'll get to, UT Martin receiver. We finally got one in the 7th round. Thanks, Rand. But yeah, like, what are the weapons that we're going to surround him with? Is he going to be in the best position to succeed? It helps to be able to turn around and hand the ball off to Derrick Henry, but without a solid O-line, the running game, won't be as big of a factor as it's been in years past. I think it would be better. I don't see the Titans making a trade for Tannehill unless what team is like ready to just kind of make a 1-year run at a Super Bowl. And Ryan Tannehill, I still think is good enough to carry a team. I don't know about carry a team, but be the quarterback of a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
What?
I said, I don't know about carry, but like assist a team into getting a Super Bowl.
Help them assist, be part of that, and being a net positive, not being carried by a team. But yeah, anyway, and we saw, Patrick Mahomes, how would he have fared if he had come in year 1, week 1 and been thrown in there? He probably would have done really well. I mean, kid is a phenom, but he did sit a year behind Alex Smith, and he came out of the gate swinging year 2 as an MVP quarterback. So I'm not saying Will Levis is going to be anything close to Patrick Mahomes. I'm just saying that can help quarterbacks along when, these days you pick a quarterback, as high as you do, 1st round, even sometimes 2nd round, you're expecting them to be the starter week 1, which is probably what we're going to see with Bryce Young and Stroud and Anthony Richardson. But I think this would be a good thing, and hopefully, we kind of just help this transition into the future by, allowing him to sit and learn the pro game behind a great, guy to, kind of model after in Ryan Tannehill. Not that I don't know if Ryan Tannehill's going to be like, it's not my job to, what did he say about Malik Willis?
Funny. Yeah, it's not my job to mentor him. So, like, are we going to get the same attitude and maybe even quote? That'd be really funny if he came out in his first presser and said, it's not my job.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even if he's not literally, being his mentor, leading by example, that's enough for Will Levis to see how a franchise quarterback, operates day in and day out in the NFL. So, yeah, I get to answer your question. I think, and I hope, and my preference is the plan for Will Levis to sit for a year. So we traded up for a 2nd round pick who may not make a big impact. But hey, you know what? The preseason games are going to be something to watch. So, we got to see Malik Willis last year, and we'll see what Will Levis is made of. I mean, if he starts firing off and, it looks incredible during the preseason, Ryan Tannehill is going to have a pretty short leash. I think, if Titans start losing, Tannehill's not playing well, lots of people are going to be calling, hey, let's put in the quarterback that was crushing it in the preseason. So we'll see. Lots of wait and sees here. I was going to bring up, because we're kind of, about these moves. Does it make sense? Not excited about it. I've been wrong so many times. I was so hyped about Corey Davis. I remember sitting at 5, he was available. He was the receiver I wanted over Mike Williams and John Ross. And he was a can't miss, going to be a Pro Bowler. He jumped off the screen with his college tape. And, he wasn't a bust, but he was a bust for a 5th overall pick, I think, in a draft. Chance Warmack, I'm pretty sure I heard lots of people saying he was a shoo-in Hall of Famer at some point. So no one really knows, okay?
Correct.
Like you said, we're down on this, franchise quarterback pick, but this could be the one that really pans out for us long term. So optimism, right? Let's keep it there, that Titans tube.
Yes. And speaking of optimism, it was, I don't know if it was the fan in me clinging on to the optimism of, we still have a good team. The Titans are still a decent team. And it felt going into this draft, it sucks because they're not bad enough to tank, and they're not good enough to really compete for a Super Bowl. I think we've learned that.
We're back into the 9 and 7,
we're back into the 9 and 7.
Where we belong, yes.
Where we belong. I'm starting to think that is where we belong, Justin. But it's, I was trying to hype myself up, and when they went O-line and didn't trade up for the quarterback in the 1st round, I thought, okay, maybe we turn around, maybe they end up with Jackson Smith and Jigba, or a top wide receiver in this draft,
Yeah.
and maybe they're trying to compete this year because this team was 7-3 last season, coming off being the #1 overall seed in the
Yep.
AFC. It's still a good team. It just really out of the wheels came off, and it was they just couldn't put them back on at the
Yeah.
tail end of last season. So that is what maybe helped me keep optimism for this coming season. But Justin, it was the combination of the Will Levis pick and the 3rd round pick, which I think we could flip to,
Yeah.
of the running back from Tulane. I tried to find some pronunciations, but again, all the highlights just say Spears. So
Yeah.
Tajay
Tajay or Tajay? Yeah, I've heard both.
Tajay Spears,
Nobody knows.
running back from Tulane, Justin. And you would think that John Robinson was still in town, still in the offices, because they took a running back in the 3rd round who does not have an ACL in his right knee because
Yeah.
he's torn it twice. And so I guess the flip side and like the spin zone of that is you can't tear your ACL if you don't have one. So
Right?
there's a
He's good on
positive
that.
there.
He's great.
But there was the Will Levis pick combined with taking a running back, Justin. The possible Derrick Henry successor. I don't know. Obviously, nobody's going to replace and fill the shoes of a Derrick Henry, but it also signaled that the Titans are going to keep up with the Joneses of the NFL and stop giving running back second contracts, because everything I've seen from this Spears pick in the 3rd round is that his career won't last more than 4 or 5 years. He won't make it with his non-ACL knee to a second contract. And so it really signaled to me that this season will be not, it's not a question anymore. It will be the last dance for Tannehill and Henry, the Tannehill and Henry era. And it's a weird feeling, Justin, because while you look at, at the end of the day, what did the Titans accomplish in the Tannehill and Henry era, where they were contenders? And it felt like the first time in my life, I didn't get to experience the McNair era Titans, where they, the early 2000s squads that were contenders. This was the first time I had been a Titans fan and felt like we had a contending team in Nashville. And this running back pick in the 3rd round, combined with Will Levis, was a 1-2 punch to my optimism and hope and faith of this team that, we are back in the 7-9 where we belong, and maybe even worse, pushing forward. But again, wait and see. I don't know. What do you think of taking a running back with the 3rd pick, especially with the XFL, Bush League wide receiver core we have?
Yeah. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, man. This isn't like our biggest position of need. I guess it is kind of crazy, like you said. How is the plan really just to like get 3-4 years out of this guy, and then his career is going to be over, and we won't have to pay him a second contract if he is really good? But again, with these like early mid-round running backs, dude, Darrington Evans, also a player with knee issues, and that injuries derailed his NFL career. I don't know if he's still playing for another team, but didn't pan out. Hassan Haskins, what's the plan with him? Is he going to be the 3rd running back? I think he was a 4th round pick, but I don't know. And I think there was another mid-round running back probably that I'm forgetting. But again, we're taking yet another backup running back in the 3rd round and not addressing, this wide receiver room. And I saw if we didn't trade up for Will Levis, we would have kept, we would have stayed at 41. Then we would have had pick 70 something. And there were like 3 or 4 pretty, talked about wide receivers that all like went in the 70s. I know the 2 Tennessee receivers did. I was really hoping that Tillman would drop to us. I think he has a lot of potential and upside. And the other receiver, I'm forgetting his name. But there were still receivers that we could have taken, before 81. That were available. But because we traded back, those receivers got taken. And I don't know if our plan was to take one of those guys if they fell to us, but they weren't there, and Spears was. And so that's I guess that's what they decided on. But yeah, was there not another receiver still out there? I don't know. But yeah, we'll see what the plan is at wide receiver. But I cannot believe, Jake, that the Titans are going to open week 1 of the season with Treylon Burks and Nick Westbrook-Akina, like opposite. I can't believe we didn't do anything to help out the receiver opposite of Burks, because he's the only proven quality wide receiver I think that is still on this roster. Are we still hedging our bets with Kyle Phillips, being healthy and doing anything? He's still there. Racey McMath, Chris Moore just signed, just a bunch of guys. They're just a bunch of guys, Jake. And in today's NFL, you need that difference maker, a la A.J. Brown. I don't care. I just talked about Corey Davis. Bring him back for a year. Put him out. He would be the second best wide receiver already on this team, and he would come cheap, I think.
Absolutely.
But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what Spears brings. He's going to need to play a lot. He's going to need to spell Henry, split carries with him almost for this pick to make any kind of sense. Like this is some high draft capital we're using on a role player essentially. So we'll see. I mean, if he ends up being good, of course we're going to be, Vrabel and Rand were in lockstep, and they knew exactly what they had here. I think Carthon somebody brought up how he was with the 49ers and he spotted or identified Elijah Mitchell, maybe it was, who turned out to be a really good running back. He was taken in like the 6th round or something. So maybe he has an eye for some of these guys, but still, like, that, not really a position that we were sorely needing. And again, I was just baffled at this point. I was like, what are we doing? I was texting Caleb, other member of this channel. And he was like, dude, it feels like we're just going in the wrong direction. We don't know what the plan is. Are we planning to win now or this year? Or are we building for the future? I'm getting kind of mixed signals from how these first 3 picks are going. So I don't know. Wait and see, Jake. Yeah. Wait and see.
Yet another wait and see pick. Oh man. Justin, I don't know what the running back situation means in terms of building for the future. Cause with Rand Carthon going all offense in this draft, it feels like the Titans front office is preparing for the future on the offensive side of the ball while, retaining Jeffrey Simmons. And I hope to God they keep Kevin Byard as a part of the squad moving forward and keeping that defensive veteran presence in place, because it's such a weird middling time right now for the Tennessee Titans. And where are we going to go from here? We got a new stadium on the horizon, and the Oilers throwbacks are coming back. And it seems like a big happening time for this franchise, but it feels like the football side of things are just slowly trickling downhill. And I'm with you, man. After this running back pick, you go offensive line, great. Quarterback, oh God, it's Will Levis. Didn't really want him. And then going running back after that, when you sorely need a pass catcher, had me befuddled at this point. But don't worry, Justin. Just hold on to your hat, because I think it was the 3rd day of the draft, round 5. The Tennessee Titans selected Josh Wiley.
I think it's Wiley.
Wiley, tight end out of my neck of the woods, the University of Cincinnati.
Right.
I, again, haven't watched a single snap of Josh Wiley play tight end in college, but if he can catch the ball and block well from the tight end position, it still doesn't address our need at wide receiver.
But he's got to throw the ball too.
Yeah, at least he's a pass catcher. At least he can catch passes. You know what?
I gotta say, Jake, you should watch some Josh Wiley highlights, because I had never heard of him. I mean, who has, lots of college players that, like, you're in the 5th round and who knows who is who. But hey, this guy looks like he could be a guy, and he's probably one out of the entire draft. And just watching highlights, I might be the most excited about Josh Wiley. I love me some Wiley after his highlight tape. I mean, this guy is built. He's tall. He seems like he has good arm length. I mean, he's kind of built like a Hunter Henry, like, dare I say, Tony Gonzalez. Just like, he'll out jump you. He could be a mismatch nightmare. He looks good running with the football with how big he is. I kind of like it. I think there could be a good Chigakonkwo, Josh Wiley kind of tandem.
That's true.
A la, all those Patriot teams. or I guess specifically Gronk and the Aaron Hernandez, where they kind of brought forth the concept of utilizing two, pass catching tight ends in an offensive scheme. So I don't think anybody expected us to go tight end here, but he looks like a guy that can come in and, who else do we have? We have Chigakonkwo. Jeff Swaim isn't still on the team, is he?
No, they picked up a guy from the Bears.
That's
who was supposed to be the Jeff Swaim replacement. I can't place his name right now, but in the great, Titans players, Chicago Bears players swap that happened this offseason, we picked up a blocking tight end from Chicago. So that is the optimistic spin of this tight end pick, Justin. I like the idea of having the two tight end set you brought up, the old school New England teams. And it got me just thinking right now, all those great New England teams. Can you name the wide receivers from the Super Bowl winning squads? I mean, Randy Moss didn't win one. I mean, I can't think of many big name wide receivers that came out of those New England teams.
I don't think Wes Welker won either.
I guess
he might have
Wes
won when he
Welker
went to the Broncos, but like those early 2000s teams, like Deion Branch and David Givens, David Patton. Man, you got me thinking about the early 2000s. I knew way too many players. I played too many video games. But yeah, like then you went to the Julian Edelmans and the later era. But yeah, they're very much a tight end centric team, especially in the early 2010s, late 2000s. So I mean, that maybe that inspired some influence for Vrabel and Ran. But yeah, you know what, I'm actually pretty encouraged by what I've seen from the highlight tape and what he can possibly do here at the NFL level. So hey, 5th round pick, go get a guy like Josh Wiley, and he may be a home run for you. So, so that pick has me feeling good. All is forgiven now with Rand Carthon without addressing receiver.
And I do think this was around the time we got the clip of Ran and Mike Vrabel. This was maybe the biggest smile I've ever seen Mike Vrabel have in his life.
That was jarring. I've never seen him smile like that. That was weird.
That's a great word for it. It was weird to see him like that. But that was, when they pointed at the camera, like point and wave, because at this point they were getting demolished by media, by fans, by anything that was outside of that draft room. They were being criticized heavily for what they were doing, and they knew it. They knew it too. Why else would they point and smile at why else would they do that,
I don't know. Maybe they could have had some. Hey, you guys are on TV right now, like Vrabel's wife being like, "Hey, turn and wave" or something, or maybe they were trolling and they were just like, "Hey, this is our fu to y'all. We'll do whatever."
What could get Mike Vrabel smiling like that? Is my thing. Like he has to. Like that had to have been a conversation they had. That had to have been that clip. Also gave me a new perspective on this draft, that it's like, maybe they know something we don't. And maybe, I don't know. I really don't know, man. That was such a perplexing, jarring is the perfect word to see Mike Vrabel like that. And just in that context too, because, oh man, that was interesting. But this was around the time we got that clip.
Yeah. I read people, I was reading some tweets, like maybe is there a chance like they do have something up their sleeve? They do have a plan for like the wide receiver position. And so they're just like laughing along because they know they're going to go scoop up this guy in free agency or make a trade or something. I don't know what we could possibly trade. Maybe Ryan Tannehill for a receiver. I don't know. And I don't know if that anything to that. I don't know if they have anything up their sleeve at all, Jake. This is Randy Carthon's first off season. I don't know how we can expect him to operate yet. So, we'll see. But yeah, the turn and wave to the camera was like, what? That's odd. I was not expect to see that.
Love it. And then we're gonna wrap it up with round 6 and 7. They picked up Jalen Duncan, offensive lineman from Maryland, just shoring up that offensive line room. Like you said, if they went offensive line in round 2, I wouldn't have been mad at it. I either. So all the offensive line help we can get. And don't worry, Justin, they do have a plan for the wide receiving group.
Oh, thank goodness.
Because they snatched up, can't believe he slid this far, but Colton Dowell, wide receiver out of UT Martin, local product out of the state of Tennessee. And I can't believe he lasted all the way to round 7, Justin. So that was their tried and true plan. That's why they were giggling and laughing and smiling and waving.
You know what?
Because they finally did draft a receiver.
He's definitely a heck of a blocker, and he can probably play special teams really good, just like Nick Westbrook-Ikina. That's what we need. Who needs to catch the ball if you can block and play special teams?
Absolutely. That's
know.
the Titans wide receiver. That's why we traded away A.J. Brown. He didn't block all that great. He wasn't playing special teams.
Exactly. Yeah, so I mean, so there you go, there you have it. I mean, we're kidding around and playing around here, but there's a lot of question marks. Most Titans drafts, I am always optimistic. I'm like, yeah, I like the moves. These picks make sense at the time. Even talking about Isaiah Wilson or Kevin Dodd or some of the early picks that just did not work out whatsoever for us. You liked him at the time. But in this draft, we don't like a lot of these picks at the time. So maybe the opposite effects will happen, or they will work out. I wrote down, in case John Robinson's trade of A.J. Brown kind of left the sourest of taste in everyone's mouth with how he kind of handled things here in Nashville. But let's not forget John Robinson's very first offseason, and Rand Carthon, we'll see how his first offseason pans out. But John Robinson's first offseason, he drafted Jack Conklin, All-Pro, Derrick Henry, all-time Titan great, Kevin Byard, all-time Titan great, traded for DeMarco Murray, which isn't a draft move, but still an offseason move. And he came in and led the AFC in rushing in his first year with us. So John Robinson came in and did some really good things for this franchise early on that made an immediate impact for this team, going from 2-14, 3-13 to boom, 9-7 run, 4 years in a row. And we eventually broke through to the number 1 seed, which went nowhere. But he did, he helped, transform this roster early on to help make us competitive. And so, that's a tall order. Like, we better be getting 3 All-Pros, out of this first draft from Rand Carthon, because that's what we got from J-Rob. But, it's just an interesting, to look back on. And, the GM's first offseason, hitting it out of the park. And then he kind of undid it all by the end by trading away A.J. Brown. But anyway, so we'll see, man. We'll see about these picks. I know we're hard on them, but these are all good football players, and they made it this far, and they could turn out to be really, really good picks. We will not find out until several months from now. So we'll have a lot of fun talking about it, though, I'm sure, and debating amongst ourselves.
That is a wonderful way to look at it, Justin. I like that kind of bow tie you just put on that, to be drafted into the NFL, they're good football players, and hopefully some of these guys stick, particularly the second round pick, Will Levis, Justin. Does Malik forfeit number 7, or does he hold on to it? And is Will Levis not sweating it because Malik's going to be cut anyway? Who's getting number 7 is the big debate heading into that. Yep.
In Nashville, other sports teams talk about, trash talking. It was funny. I have a buddy that lives in California. He lives in Sacramento. And he hasn't lived there very long, but he's like acclimating himself to like the sporting environment and culture. And he says like entire cities and even media and radio will just trash each other to like San Francisco and Sacramento or Los Angeles. And it's just this huge like rivalry even within the state. And then I texted back. It's kind of funny because Titans fans are kind of over here in our own little corner, our own little tiny pocket. And we're just debating whether Mariota was a good quarterback or not. Yeah, that's our big beef here. Yeah. It's just like a different scale almost. But yeah, we're going to be talking about who gets number 7. That's the hot debate here.
It is. And, lastly, I don't want to open this Pandora's box, Justin, but I don't think we're out of the woods trading number 22 either, frankly. I think Derrick Henry could still be moved. As much as I'm looking forward to a possible last dance here, I'm still, there's a smidgen, there's an iota of myself that is worried that we're not going to see 22 again in a Titans jersey. But there's also the majority part of me, Justin, is I think this is probably the last season of the Tannehill-Henry Titans. Does Henry survive to play again in 2024 for this franchise? It's tough to say. Yeah. The league is trending away from big running back contracts. If you look at any contenders, they're not paying their running back a second contract. It's Isaiah Pacheco, and I can't remember who was the running back for the Eagles in the Super Bowl, but he wasn't a big name either. And so it's interesting. The fan in me, obviously, I think I will stand on the table to say Derrick Henry is the greatest Titan to ever put on the uniform. I mean, I even got in an
Yeah.
argument with my own friends about this who don't have a stake in the Titans game whatsoever. But they're like, nah, like McNair's got the legacy. Like McNair took him to the Super Bowl. But if you look up Steve McNair's stats, he never threw for more than 3,500 yards in a season, Justin.
Yeah.
I know it was a different time. It was for sure a different time in the NFL when it came to passing yards, but you still had, all pro quarterbacks. And I'm sure Peyton Manning wasn't throwing for 3,300 yards in a season.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. All the numbers were down.
all the numbers were down, but it just speaks to me that, teams know Derrick Henry is coming. They know he's going to get the ball 20 times in a game, and he still goes out week after week after week after week and performs and puts up 1,500-yard seasons. I think if he can put together 2 more 1,500-yard seasons, he's a Hall of Famer. And that is really it's unbelievable what he's meant to this team and as a leader, as being a superstar. Because, you think about Chris Johnson is like the last big major superstar. Like when you think of the Titans logo, who do you think? It was Chris Johnson back then. And then for a decade, it was nobody.
Yeah, we had no
Mariota, if that, like they're not a very good team. And then boom, like Derrick Henry, international superstar. Stiff arms will last forever.
Yes.
Anyways, I don't know. That was just my Derrick Henry appreciation rant.
Yeah.
And I hope he doesn't get traded.
Yeah.
I hope it's not ready to end, but there is a still small smidgen of me that believes that he could be moved, and I hope he doesn't.
Squash that smidgen. Squash it. It can't happen. Now, give me one more year. Give me one more year of the Tannehill-Henry duo, which has honestly been the best Titans era since the early 2000s George McNair teams. I mean, it's been 20 years since we've seen this kind of success with the quarterback and the running back combination here. And yeah, you said that about 1,500-yard seasons, dude. The fact that Henry got 1,500 yards and 14, 15 touchdowns behind that offensive line, that should put him in the Hall of Fame already. He should already be up. Like how many times was he met at the line of scrimmage by defenders unblocked and losing? Dude, I want to pull my hair out. You should never lose like 4 yards or 5 yards on a running play. Like
it happened
as many times as he did too. And he was still able to overcome that and churn out 1,500 yards. Like, good Lord. He's one of the greatest. Don't press me on if it's McNair or Henry, because my head would explode trying to figure that one out, because I love both of those players so much. So yeah, we'll see if we have one more year, and maybe he'll take a little pay cut. And
that would be great.
Again for more, if he tests the market and realizes, I'm not going to get that much. There's not much left in the tank. I might as well stay in Tennessee. Who knows? Players usually don't do that, but you can always hope. So no trades yet. Let's get one more year. Let's get one more year with Tannehill and Henry and help this transition into the rebuild, into being competitive again, and paving the way for the Will Levis and Tajay Spears era. That's going to be the next great time.
Love it. Love the optimism. I think that's going to put a bow on it for this draft recap. Justin, like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Are you a Will Levis fan? I know a lot of these Vol crossovers, the Titans / Tennessee Vols fans are not a fan of it. And I have a hard time believing there's no bias in that. So it's tough to gauge from all the way up here in Ohio whether Tennessee Vol fans are being honest and fair about a Kentucky Wildcat quarterback. So
I'll say this: I watched a lot of Tennessee Vols football last year. I'm a Vols fan. I was hyped for them to break through and to being contenders after 20 plus years or however long it's been. And I did not want Hendon Hooker. I am of the belief that he was a product of the offense and Josh Heupel's system down there and the scheme that they ran. I just, he never really made things happen, I don't know, reading a defense. It was like, read one, if it's not there, do this. And he seemed very much a product of that system. I mean, he's a great kid. I'm sure he's a great leader and a guy to have around, but his skill as a quarterback, he needs to prove me wrong, I think. And I was glad that we passed on him. I don't know. Whatever. If we did pass on him, I don't even know if we were targeting him. But I didn't want him. I don't think he's going to pan out in the NFL. That's just my 2 cents. That's my opinion.
Fair enough.
It is. And I'm a Vols fan too, saying that. So I know how to separate the two.
Vol
I did
for
want
life,
Tillman, though. I
Justin
did want the
says.
receivers.
Yeah, I would like to see them pick up Hyatt while we're speaking. And this is the,
Hyatt.
this is the Tennessee Volunteer Minute here on Titans Tube. Anyways, we were on the sign off and we were just talking about Tennessee Volunteer. Like, comment, subscribe, all
Go
that
Vols.
jazz.
I mean,
Tighten up. Go Vols, I guess. And we will see you guys. Who knows when, but we'll be around.
Probably
here.
before the first preseason game.
yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. All right. Love it. Nice talking to you, man. And
yes,
we will see y'all in the next edition. Keep on hoping. If you don't have belief, you have nothing. Anyways, peace out, y'all.
From Mr. Shook there, yes.